It's college decision time. So maybe your student eagerly grabbed the letter in the mailbox and they were so excited to get the answer from their top university. But when they opened it, they were met with disappointment. Maybe they found that they were not accepted, or maybe they were waitlisted to a university that was really high on their list. It can be really frustrating and disappointing for students. But I'm here to let you know that depending on your student's situation and your situation, your student might be able to appeal that decision. Now, make sure you hit subscribe because we're not only going to share more tips like this, but also tons of tips on paying for college so that when your student does choose their school, we can make sure that they get as few loans or zero loans as possible. Hey there, my name is Jocelyn Pearson, founder of the Scholarship System and Debt-Free Degree Lab, where we teach families how to avoid student debt so that they can have a strong financial future rather than one with decades of student loan payments. Now, since starting the Scholarship System, we've helped families secure nearly $10 million in scholarships. So we've seen quite a few scenarios when it comes to students. Now, typically when students receive a rejection letter, they assume, okay, game over, this is the end, right? And they have to choose a second school or a third school, whichever one did accept them. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's not necessarily true. Most students aren't aware that actually some schools do receive reconsideration letters to maybe adjust their decision of admissions. So let's talk about what that is. So what is a college reconsideration letter? A college reconsideration letter is a formal request for the school to reconsider their unfavorable decision when it comes to admissions. Now, I want to point out just quickly that this is very different from a financial aid appeal letter where you can pull a letter together to ask for more money from the school that your student is indeed accepted to. If you want a video on that, just go ahead and check out the description after this video. We will link to our financial aid appeal video down in the description. Now, when can a student consider a reconsideration letter? Typically, this isn't just because they really want to go to a school or just because they know someone else that was admitted and that someone else has lesser standards or scores or GPA than they do. Instead, it typically has to be based on extenuating circumstances that your student went through that could have affected their application. So some examples might be maybe they had the flu when they had to take the SAT or ACT, so they didn't get the score that they wanted. Maybe they've retaken it and it has increased tremendously. That might be worth reconsideration. Perhaps your student won a big award since the application and they want to inform the committee that they got this huge honor and that might sell them even more as well. If the reason that negatively impacted your student's application is beyond their control and really unpredictable or just something that they didn't foresee but it did impact them, then that could be something that they could consider writing this reconsideration letter for. Now, comment below, yes or no. Did you know that schools allowed reconsideration letters? Let me know below. Now, when should your student not submit an appeal for reconsideration for admission? Like I mentioned, they should not submit a letter of reconsideration if there are not any extenuating circumstances. If they simply weren't admitted and everything was submitted correctly, there weren't any crazy influences on their application, then you don't want to waste your student's time or their time. I understand that it is so disappointing for a student not to get into the school that they really wanted, but a lot of times, sometimes this can end up even better. I've seen so many families where either their student didn't get in or they couldn't afford a certain school, and when they chose another school, it ended up an incredible fit that worked so well for their student and their family's budget. That said, there are also schools that do not allow reconsideration letters. For example, Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Columbia. These schools say under no circumstances will they reconsider. Just imagine how many applications they receive if they were going through all of those in addition to reconsideration letters. I can't even imagine. I feel like it would just be a constant process for them. So some schools you can't even submit a reconsideration letter. Now, how should a student approach a reconsideration letter? How should they write this letter to increase their chances of a change in the admissions decision? Well, first and foremost, you want to make sure with your student that you submit any required documentation. So check out the process through the university, through the school, and see if they have any specific documents that are required as part of this process. Next, we want to watch our tone. We need our tone to be respectful, polite. It needs to be in a professional letter format. We do not want it to seem angry or whiny. We don't want to accuse the admissions board of making a mistake. Instead, we want to approach it from a perspective of, hey, you didn't know this, and I just wanted to share with you because I really had my heart set on this school. So I think this information might be helpful to enlighten you on some changes in my application or something that affected my application that was beyond my control. Again, we want to be careful that we're not just giving excuses and make it something that's actually productive and something that we've done something about in order to show that, hey, if I get a bad grade at your school, I'm not going to whine to the professor and ask for something for bonus points or something like that. So we have to have a healthy balance, right, between giving them true reasons and justification for your extenuating circumstances, but also not being whiny, impolite, or complaining. Now, as far as what to include in the letter, please find out a name if you can. So we want to reach out to the head of the admissions or maybe a specific admissions representative, but please try to find their name, not just to whom it may concern. The next thing is we want to make sure that the letter keeps the focus on your student. It has to be about them. We do not want to be referencing someone else. Oh, well, so-and-so got into your school, so I think I should. They were all of these things, and I'm even better. We do not want that letter to be focused on that. Keep it central focus on your student when you're working with them on this. For example, they can include qualities, the extenuating circumstances, how they overcame them, what they've done since then, what they've achieved, why they love this school. It has to be about the student. The next thing is to attach any kind of proof that backs this up. Maybe it's new SAT scores or transcripts or certificates or a letter of recommendation, or maybe if it was an award, maybe a copy of that certificate or a letter confirming that they received this honor. So try to include proof and documentation for what you're telling them affected the admissions application. Lastly, we really recommend including a date of when the original application was submitted. The date on the letter should be when you're submitting the reconsideration letter, and then you can also even include the date of rejection. That way they can at least kind of time and make sure that they have the right student. Lastly, I want to say that you want to submit this as soon as possible after the rejection letter. So do not wait, do not procrastinate. Get your student to write this as soon as possible if this is something that you think that your student is eligible for. So once that reconsideration letter is submitted, we really need to turn our focus to paying for college. A lot of families don't realize that they can actually start working on that process even before their student has chosen a school or even before they're admitted into a school. So if you want to learn more about how your student can secure scholarships for college, including outside scholarships, so again, it does not matter what school as long as it's accredited, then register for the free training. There should be a box somewhere on the screen. You can also go to the link in the description for the free webinar or go to thescholarshipsystem.com/free webinar and register there. So in the end, if your student did get a rejection letter, sometimes it's valid, sometimes it won't change. And I know that's disappointing. We can link to a blog post in the description on how to handle rejection letters. But if your student had some extenuating circumstances and tried to be objective about this, if they truly were impacted unfairly, something was beyond their control that impacted their admissions application that has changed or that the committee should know that was not submitted originally, then this could be an option for your student to get them to reconsider their rejection. But again, remember that even if this school doesn't work out, there are so many incredible universities. Sometimes things happen for a reason and it works out even for the better. So I do just want to give you a little bit of a silver lining to this. So make sure you register for that free training and don't forget the resources that we are linking to in the description. Lastly, if you could, click the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up if you found this helpful so that I know what we are recording is helpful to you so that we can keep going. I will see you in the next video.